The attack on the civil service is unacceptable, unconscionable, un-American.
We need to raise every sign. We need to raise every voice. We need to raise hell.
It was no more clear to me how important federal workers are.
Federal workers are the backbone of this country.
Here's our message to Speaker Johnson and President Musk. Enough is enough.
Thank you to all the federal workers who do so much.
They're not the enemy, as some have tried to paint these federal workers in recent days.
Democrats kicked off Donald Trump's presidency by passionately defending government workers, as you just saw, claiming that any cuts to the federal workforce or spending would result in carnage. But now, apparently, those priorities have changed a little. Listen.
Let me repeat the quote Donald Trump said yesterday. We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible. They're bad for them and irreversible, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things they like, cutting programs they like. Donald Trump says it loud and clear.
The mass firings of federal workers,
infrastructure jobs being affected, thousands of people potentially laid off, a lot of those workers who could be laid off.
Meantime, the Trump White House indeed today warning that federal layoffs are imminent.
There are unfortunate consequences to a government shutdown, and the federal government is not receiving any cash at the moment. And so the Office of Management and Budget has been tasked with looking over the receipts and looking over the budget of the entire federal bureaucracy. And as the vice president said, determining what needs to continue to go out the door and what can we continue to keep running and what unfortunately is going to have to come to an end. So those decisions are being made. And unfortunately, layoffs are very likely, as the vice president just said, going to be a part of that.
So Democrats have been warned, and that's why some on the left actually voted to keep the government open, arguing it gives Donald Trump more power. Joining us now, Republican Texas Congressman Pat Fallon. Congressman, great for you to be here, great for the show. A New York Times Siena poll found a majority, 65%, said Democrats should not shut down the government. But the left says, well, it's the GOP who has the Oval Office, the House and the Senate, and they own this stoppage. How would you respond to that?
Democrats are lying because, yes, we have the White House in both chambers on the Hill. But the problem is Chuck Schumer's not allowing it to come up for a vote because there's a filibuster rule in the Senate where you need 60 votes. If he were to allow the vote, all of the Democrats can vote against it and the government will remain open, but he's not allowing that. And I think it's fair to point out as well that when Joe Biden was president for all 4 years, Republican senators never did this, not once. They had 13 continuing resolutions and we never shut the government down. This is on the Democrats. This is on Chuck Schumer because they want to show that they're, quote unquote, fighting the Trump agenda. Well, the American people spoke in November and they rejected the Democrats' message.
Well, Republicans say the bill that was voted down was clean, non-controversial, with no pork. Listen to this.
All right. Well, the Democrat caucus here in town, in the Senate, has chosen to shut down the government over a clean, nonpartisan funding bill. That's right, a clean, nonpartisan funding bill.
They can't vote for a clean CR? I mean, what's going on with that, right? And, you know, Senator Schumer says, oh, well, because there's no Democrat priorities in it. Well, there's no Republican priorities in it. It's a clean CR.
But you know what? Democrats, Congressman, claim kids are literally dying. Listen to this.
Donald Trump decided one day that he wants to just make sure that kids are dying because they don't have access to insurance.
Their bill, which does nothing, zero for American health care.
All right, so the question is, which is it? Was it a plain CR or are children dying?
It was a clean CR. It was just an extension of current funding levels for 7 weeks, and the Democrats are so desperate, particularly Chuck Schumer. Let's cut to the chase. Chuck Schumer is terrified that AOC is going to run against him in a primary, and she's the quote unquote fighter. Polls show that in New York, the progressives prefer her over him. So he was forced politically to shut the government down. Now, the House Democratic caucus, they came up with an alternative. And their alternative was unserious. They want $1.5 trillion in new spending. That is absurd. They are in the minority. If they, again, didn't realize that elections have consequences, and now they're acting like a spoiled child. They want to take their toys and go home. And this has great ramifications. And this shutdown, unequivocally, is their fault.
That's the place to leave it. Congressman Pat Fallon, as always, sir, great to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
Thank you.